All right, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is Bizarre Structure Sitting in the Atlantic Ocean Has an Even Stranger History. Let's go ahead and check it out, guys.
In 17th century France, protecting the country from the mighty English naval fleets was paramount. However, this was difficult to do when only the English Channel separated the two lands, which is a mere 20 miles wide at the shortest gap. One architect saw this as the perfect challenge, and he set out a task that would take hundreds of years to accomplish. When it was done, it would be one of the finest examples of man's ingenuity the world had ever seen.
Okay. Hundreds of years. Let's see what this takes us.
If you were to look at the ocean between Ile d'Ye and Ile d'Oléron in France, you might just spot something that appears to be a very small floating castle. However, if you look a little bit closer, you'll see the truth. This small island castle is actually an ancient structure called Fort Boyard. Originally designed to guard and protect Charenton and the harbor of Rochefort in France during the 17th century, it's quite the marvel. When it was first built, the idea was that Fort Boyard would be a base for the French army under Louis XIV. They started the project in 1662, but it wasn't long before the French figured out just how costly the construction of building something in the middle of the ocean really was.
All right, guys, really quickly, the reason why I'm slightly confused is this is not correct information. So Napoleon actually was the one who commissioned Fort Boyard. I think he started it in 1801, guys. I think hold on. He started in 1801 and ended it in, I think, 1857, had a garrison of 250. And by the time it was actually done, the weaponry had advanced so much, they were just like, yeah, this is worthless, and stopped it, guys. Then it basically went on to like a TV show. And then when the TV show basically ended, the French government basically just let it fall apart. Up until somewhat, maybe about 2-3 decades ago, they decided to actually start to preserve the actual structure itself. You can actually go here, guys, still, right? My suggestion would probably be going into Boyardville. To the west, of Fort Boyard, or La Rochelle to the east of Fort Boyard, guys. It's a beautiful place to encounter. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You can only get here through boat, guys. There's a lot of like old TV memorabilia still kind of, around the place itself. It is absolutely an amazing trip to go to, guys. And referring to, hold on, who did he say? Louis?
The idea was that Fort Boyard, originally designed to guard and protect Charenton and the harbor of Rochefort in France, during the 17th century, it's quite the marvel. When it was first built, the idea was that Fort Boyard would be a base for the French army under Louis XIV.
Okay, Louis XIV. So Louis XIV, he was also called the Sun King. He actually did not build anything defensive related, like defense related. He did not build anything defense related in France, guys. Not to this extent, at least. If I can just double check really quickly, guys, but I do. I'll play while I research.
They started the project in 1662, but it wasn't long before the French figured out just how costly the construction of building something in the middle of the ocean really was. Ultimately, they gave up on the project. But it didn't stay abandoned forever. The king's architect, known simply as Vauban, famously said that building Fort Boyard would be close to impossible. Your Majesty, it would be easier to seize the moon with your teeth than attempt such an undertaking in such a place, he declared emphatically. However, the half-built fort still stayed on the minds of French military men as their battles with England continued. Finally, in 1801, Napoleon Bonaparte resumed the project, sure that Fort Boyard would be incredibly useful. Unfortunately, construction stopped about 8 years later in 1809 because of the ever-present difficulties in building an artificial island that could support the entire structure.
All right, guys, so here's the thing. So, in fact, the building started in 1801. I'm guessing that they were speaking about it most likely for about 100 years, but they really didn't have a target towards actually completing it or even knowing what it really was going to look like, right? But Napoleon started it in 1801. It was finalized and opened in 1857, and again had a garrison of about 250 soldiers, guys. All right, let's go.
Work on the fort did not start again until Louis Philippe became King of France in 1830. The workers hired to build the fort lived on temporary housing on the Ile d'Oléron. Funny enough, these temporary houses turned into permanent structures and eventually became established as the villages and port of Boyardville. Later, this village would become home to France's Naval Academy. After centuries of construction, Fort Boyard was finally completed in 1858. The finished walls made an intimidating oval measuring 330 feet by
1857. All right, guys, we're going to stop this video because it seems to have a lot of like misinformation almost here, guys. So if I can fill in any blanks here, they did build this to help against fighting the. How about this? They helped. I'm trying to rephrase this so we don't get flagged here. They did build it to protect themselves from England. It didn't do anything because, again, the weaponry that actually was around that time was already super, super strong by the time 1857 rolls around. This was literally the opening of the fort, 1857. And Napoleon is the person who is credited specifically for this structure here. But all right, listen. A little frustrating video, but it's a good video because I'm sure there are a lot of people who have never heard of Fort Boyard. It is an incredible trip if you guys actually ever get a chance to actually visit France and then visit this UNESCO World Heritage Site, guys. It's worth it. I'm telling you guys, right? But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day and enjoy your day thoroughly.